This is Share the Vision, presented by the Resource Center, a discussion of the programs and services of the Resource Center and about issues related to individuals with disabilities. Today, we talk about mental health as one year ends and a new one begins, and the right approach that you can take in 2018 to improving your frame of mind and maybe your entire life. Joining me on Share the Vision today, Cindy New, the program manager for PROS and the Behavioral Health, Home and Community-Based Services here at the Resource Center. Amanda Hales, mental health clinician and professional peer support. And Casey Seifert, mental health clinician here at the Resource Center. And, of course, Steve Watterson, Community Relations Director at the Resource Center, joins me as well. Steve, hello and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Dennis.
Always great to do this broadcast with you and to get a new perspective on the new year. I think all of us can benefit from this.
Oh, absolutely. And we've been, we were talking before the show started that you and I have been doing these shows throughout the year for, I think, 22 years now. And for a bunch of those years, we've focused at this time of the change of the calendar year on how to make positive change in your life. So we bring in some experts from our mental health programs to kind of offer some advice to our listeners out there on how they can be happier and healthier in 2018.
Well, and there are a lot of challenges out there, and I look forward to having these experts, these professionals, help us come to terms with these things over the next few minutes here. First, Cindy New, welcome back to our program.
Thank you for having me, Dennis. It's always a pleasure.
I wanted to have the audience hear your voices as the conversations unfold, in case I don't have an opportunity to introduce each of you as the program rolls along. And new to our show is Casey Seifert. Casey, hello.
Hi, Dennis.
Very nice to have you on the air with us today. And Amanda Hales.
Hello, Dennis. Thank you.
Nice to have you on the show as well. I was reading your title here as we started here, and you wrote something that I couldn't really read. Mental health clinician and professional...
I'm actually a provisional certified peer specialist.
Provisional certified peer specialist.
Yes, for our home and community-based service program.
Provisional certified peer support specialist?
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means I have lived experience. For much of my life, I've dealt with my own kind of mental health diagnosis, depression, anxiety, that sort of thing. And so I bring that into my profession, my lived experience, and I share that, and it helps me to build relationships and rapport with people and hopefully make a positive difference in their lives.
Since I'm with you to begin, Amanda, tell us a little bit about your day-to-day work here at the Resource Center and how you help people with mental health.
Well, I think a lot of it starts with being able to connect with people and to understand where they're coming from and where they're at in life. Without that connection, we're not able to really make a difference with people. They're not engaged in our services if they don't feel that they're being understood and accepted.
Casey Seifert, tell us a little bit about your work and your background in this work.
Well, as far as my background, in the state of Pennsylvania, I actually am a certified peer specialist as well. And just like Amanda, I have lived experience with depression and anxiety and managing that. And I have spent, I think like the last 9 years teaching people about how to overcome some obstacles in their life by giving examples of how I've been able to do it myself. And a lot of times it's just coming up with different tools, like maybe tools that I've used or tools that we discover together that help us to be well. Right now, I'm working as a mental health clinician. I do not yet have my provisional peer support certification in New York yet, but that's something that I am working on.
And Cindy New, a little bit about you again and your background and the work you direct here at the Resource Center.
Absolutely. I've been with the Resource Center for about 24 years. I've been working in mental health in a variety of capacities. My passion is in psychosocial rehabilitation, which is really looking at involving individuals in the community and being able to be more independent and live their life successfully. So that's where my foundation comes from, and I bring that into my day-to-day work here. I'm also a licensed social worker. So I like to blend our philosophies quite a bit, but recovery is the main component of where I come from. So even though I am also a program manager, I do services with individuals that we serve, and that is where I strive. I learn the most from the individuals we serve, and being able to come out and say hi and communicate with people and to see where they're at today is where we kind of make our lives go round and round each day.
What happens to you at this time of year, considering that several of you have already talked about the fact that you have dealt with depression and anxiety in your own lives. Is this a hard time of year for you? Amanda's looking at me.
It makes me appreciate what I have even more, and the people we work with, I feel for them because I know my blessings, and not everybody has those blessings, and so my heart goes out to some people because it's more of a struggle for others this time of year than it is for me. So,
Casey?
I would have to tell you that I feel stronger these past couple of years dealing with the winter, because that's when I seem to cycle through my depression the most. But I definitely feel stronger because I've learned the routine, what has to happen in order for me to feel okay throughout the wintertime.
So the two of you who have experienced this yourself or selves, and attempt to communicate a message, a positive message to the people that you work with, what are the things you say? What are the tools you use yourself as a bulwark against what is a dark and, in this particular instance, very snowy and cold transition of one year to the next?
For myself, I have to make sure that I make connections with the important people in my life. So whether that means like making sure that I call my mom every day or every other day to check in and let her know how I'm feeling, because she's one of the people that I'm accountable to as far as my mental health goes. And there are days when I just don't want to do that, but it's telling myself that if I don't, then I'm just going to backslide a little bit further, and this helps keep me going. Making sure that I'm eating well and exercising are also other big factors, and sleeping, because sleep's always a big thing.
Amanda?
lately I know that I've talked a lot with some of our participants about focusing on the simple things that are important to us in life and taking each day one at a time. Even if it means you spend 15 minutes a day trying to take care of yourself, whether it's finding something to do to relax or finding somebody to talk to for support, those little tiny things make a big difference in the end, in the big picture.
One of the things that both of you have spoken to, I just want to touch on for a moment, because sometimes, particularly when the weather is difficult and we get into the busy time of year, when there are a lot of things happening related to the holidays, we can be a little reluctant to reach out to people that we really want to embrace, that we know can help us get through challenging times or just sad ones. But with all the hustle and bustle and holiday parties and all of that stuff, we can be a little reluctant sometimes to kind of raise our hand in the air and say, hey, how about me?
Mm-hmm. Well, for me this year, it was a little bit difficult because I did not want to be the person who hosted Christmas. I wanted to be the person who got to enjoy it like everyone else. But once again, I relented and did it. But I set something up for myself this time because I communicated that to my family and I let them know, I'm really not feeling this, but I will do it. But I'm going to need your help to make sure that I get to enjoy it too. And they really all came together and were able to do that. So for me, it's making sure that I do speak up. And that's one thing that was really a learned thing. It's not something that everyone can automatically just do. So speaking up and letting people know how they can support you, so that if you're not calling, you're not making connections with them, that they're checking in on you.
It occurs to me to say that if somebody wins money on a scratch-off lottery ticket, I'm groping here for a moment, or gets a raise at work, or something really good and surprising happens to them, we're often more than eager to share the news. Other side of that, though, when things are a little more challenging, a little less positive, that makes it harder to reach out, I think, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Many people still, I think, try to make New Year's resolutions. And Steve and I used that phrase when we walked in the door here to record this program. And by the way, we should say that this is coming to you from 880 East 2nd Street in Jamestown, which is the location, the headquarters now for the Resource Center's medical, dental, and mental health programs. And thank you for inviting me into your conference room here in order to do that. We came in and said New Year's resolution and kind of got met with a little bit of silence. So you don't like the term, or you don't like what it means, and what would you like to put in its place? Here's Cindy.
Everybody is really unique in the way that they want to approach changes in the new year. We do not want to say that you cannot do resolutions or we do not believe in them. Everybody has to find what's best for them. For me personally and some of the individuals that we work with, resolutions seems so intense and a little bit more difficult to achieve. So we really look at during this time, because we know that people go through anxiety, depression, people get overwhelmed and really stress out this time of year. And to add that possibility of having to have a resolution, before the end of the year to be able to achieve in the new year just becomes more stressful all in itself. So we really look at those components of looking at making things smaller, more achievable, more realistic to an individual at that point in time where they are at in their life. So we really want to do those step-by-step components. And, Christmas and winter sometimes can be magical. We're thinking of, snow, except for when we get too much. Snowball fight, sitting by a fire, reading some nice story, being with family. And sometimes that just is not where a person's at. But, they want to make these magical resolutions. We really want to make sure that people are making those realistic expectations for everybody, going step by step, looking at self-care, day-to-day recognitions of who you are, finding a place that you're comfortable. If you don't have people who you love that you have access to, find a place where you're comfortable that you can go to and be able to spend that time there. And then be able to sit down with somebody and say, I really would like to do A, B, or C by this time of year, and try to come up with how can you really get to that point. And I think that's where our programs come into play, is to really sit down and say what is achievable, because we don't want to make any expectations unrealistic, but what is achievable for you. So I think that's where we're at in this program. What we want to look at is resolutions can be so intense this time of year, so how do we make it less so?
Okay, let's take a common resolution. I'm going to exercise more in 2018, or even more specifically, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week and actually use that membership that I was given for Christmas. How would you, and the approach that you take to this, not using resolution as a term, how would you help somebody achieve that goal? Can you make a couple of suggestions on that specific point, Cindy?
I think if I were to do something like that, I would have to look at what my weekly schedule look like, what type of transportation I have, where is the gym going to be in close proximity to where I can get to, looking at if I need childcare for that day, what time I work, how long is that place open. So really starting out with my daily schedule and trying to figure out what can I really achieve. Is 3 times a week too much? Is 1 time a week more realistic, and maybe 1 time on the weekend because I have more time and accessibility? So I think that's where I would start with people, is what can you attain during that week, and start out with that little bit.
Take the big and make it small is what I hear you say, and then try to make it as practical as possible so that we can integrate it into our lives.
Daily lives, yep.
Interesting. I'm going to meditate on that for a moment and say we are speaking to you on Share the Vision today for the Resource Center with 3 mental health professionals trying to help you get ready for the new year, whether you're a person who makes resolutions or not, or just finds it difficult to get through the letdown that comes once Christmas is over and the people leave and the parties end and the bills come, and try and set you up properly for this coming year. Amanda and Casey, are there any other things that you want to say about the techniques that you have used to help people kind of move their lives forward before I take this conversation in a slightly different direction?
I really want to just talk about what Cindy said there with celebrating those small successes that we make, because that is so important. In order for us to feel successful, we need to know that we're actually achieving something. So I think that a lot of times one of the things that I try to help people see is like to visualize the progress that they've made, whether that means charting how many times I actually went to the gym in the last month versus what I wanted to do. And at times we find that people exceed their expectations, and that makes them want to do more with that. So celebrating those small things are really important to do.
Absolutely. I was going to say similar. It keeps the motivation going when you can see that you're doing you're following the plan, and you're keeping to that at least minimally 1 day a week. You're doing something still, and that gives us an opportunity to give ourselves some credit, right? That we're following through on a goal that we've set. And how often do we write lists, and when we cross those things off our list, I mean, it really feels good, and it keeps us going, keeps us motivated to do more.
One of the threads that's woven through this first part of this Share the Vision show today is the importance of connection with people who will take time to listen to us and have some understanding to us, and people that we can be accountable to in the very highly digital, fast-paced, screen-loaded world that we live in today. Cindy knows where this is going already. I can tell by the look on her face. Does it become harder for us to develop the genuine human connections that are really nurturing and protective for us?
It has become a little bit of a challenge in some areas, but I think the one good component that we do have is our programs have the ability to go out and meet people in the community. So we can meet them where they're at. We're in the process right now of really utilizing text messaging a little bit more in communication for outreach. We have a lot of individuals whose minutes may expire, but text messaging is free, so we have the availability to do that. Each of our programs have smart TVs, and we also are in the process of having smart boards at each location, so we're able to intertwine technology into our care. So the population now that's coming through that's really reliant on technology for care and likes to sit there with the telephone and texting or playing games, we have the availability to adapt a little bit more. I also brought in a little bit of information today on what's called My Strength. Our agency, along with the county, has a contract for the next 8 years with My Strength, and it's a 24/7 online tool that you can do on your smartphone, your computer, or iPad or pad that you might have, where it provides additional support to you when nobody else is available.
How does it work?
They call it's almost like a health club for the mind. So, you have the availability to go in, and there are daily mood trackers. Once you register for your account, you come in. The first thing you see are a variety of either smiley faces or frowny faces, and you get to choose where you are today at that mode. You can also devise a goal set. So, like if you want to work on depression, anxiety, stress, pain levels, then there are specific things that will be assigned to you to specifically help you address those areas in your life. And you can do additional trackers on where those levels are. So like if you're coming in every single day and you're having pain levels that might be at a 5 or a 10, you're able to go in and see how you might trend at the end of the month. So you'll be like, ooh, in my depression, anxiety, and stress and pain, I was like at a 10 for like 2 weeks of the month. What was going on during that point in time in my life? So you start to examine that a little bit more. There are videos that you can go to learn how to handle stress and anxiety. There are other tools like favorites and inspirations. There's this one lovely puppy that we all love, and it looks at you and it's saying, "Who's awesome? You are." And we all, and so, I think that when we really look at a lot of these components is trying to find the inspiration that's going to keep you motivated. And so we've found tools that we can utilize within our programming to try to connect with those individuals that have a hard time leaving that technology behind.
So then it becomes a tool that you can use through programs like this to help them with their goals and their mental health, even though they're interacting with their device. And on the other end of the device, there's probably not a real person. They're just working through a program and some steps of things. But it can still be supportive, appropriately supportive, in helping them deal with, in your work, what can be significant challenges in life.
Absolutely. It's all research-based. So it goes through cognitive behavioral therapy, solution-focused therapy. So it involves a lot of mindfulness and awareness building. And so individuals that are clinicians here at our programs can work with individuals who have these accounts and actually come up with goals and objectives and homework assignments based on these. So we have the availability, even though they're doing it on their own, we can actually interact with them if they choose.
This is clearly something that's available to the consumers you have here in your programs at the Resource Center. Is it available to the general public as well?
We have what's called a TRC community page. So anybody who's connected as a support network to anybody that we serve in our programming can actually get the community page and access. And so if an individual who is also a support and a friend of that person, so anybody in the community really, as long as they're in Chautauqua County, have access to this. And we have a special code that we can do. Our wellness program here at the Resource Center also has an account and the TRC community page. So pretty much as long as you're in Chautauqua County and you need some support, it's there for you.
My Strength, it's called. If people were to look that up through a search engine, they would get additional information.
Yep. So if you actually go to www.mystrength.com, when you go into it, you can actually go into, once you go to www.mystrength.com, you click on Sign Up, and then there's an access code that you can actually submit in, and it's TRC Community. So it's TRCCOMMUNITY. So you have the availability to register for that and get some support. If you need any information, you can always get back hold of us, and we can clear that up a little bit.
We have given you the secret password.
I know, right?
TRC Community, folks, and that may help you get through this time. We have a few minutes left here. The time has passed all too quickly, but Casey, Amanda, are there other things that you want to make sure we say on this program today in terms of how you are helping yourself or others here launch themselves into the new year in terms of resolutions or no resolutions or other changes that they might make in their lives to be in better mental health for 2018?
Well, I think we all need to be a little accepting of ourselves when we make mistakes. That's important, very important.
This is Amanda Hales speaking now.
Otherwise, we get kind of sucked under, our own defeat, if you will, and it becomes really, really hard to get out of that once we let that happen. So give ourselves credit that we will make mistakes. Each day is a new day, and there's a new opportunity every day to continue to improve ourselves and work towards a better quality of life.
You're making me feel better already because I kind of made a mistake on your title at the beginning of the program.
I probably should have spelled it more clear.
Well, I feel better now. You have helped me in that regard. Casey, anything final from you?
I guess the only other thing that I would say would be when you're making goals or resolutions like we're talking about here is to focus on the positive, not trying to take things away. Like, I don't want to drink anymore. If drinking is something that you are focusing on, that I'm going to drink less. I'm going to drink more water instead of this kind of thing. But I think it's really important that we focus on adding things to our life and being positive.
Cindy New, the services offered, if people really find themselves in need of someone to work with, the services that you offer here in this area of the Resource Center are available to the community.
Absolutely.
How can people begin that step if it is for them or for a family or a family member?
We have a couple different avenues you can take. We do have, through the Resource Center website, we do have a page on that site that you can connect with us through there. You can call us here at 661-1510 to be able to reach out towards the PROS program. This is a more intensive mental health program that individuals can come and personalize their treatment day by day. We also have our counseling and psychiatric at 661-1590 here at this location. We also have a Dunkirk program where you can contact either for PROS or for counseling and psychiatric at 366-7660.
So these services are available to members of the public, and
Yes,
if they
are.
do sort of find themselves stuck, or as they reflect back on some of the things that we have said on this show today, maybe they understand that they really need a little nudge or some direction in terms of making forward progress in their lives, this might be a good place for them to start.
Absolutely.
I want to express my appreciation to all of you and wish you Happy New Year. Cindy New, Casey Seifert, and Amanda Hales. They're all mental health professionals here at the Resource Center and have spent the last 25 minutes with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to call Steve Watterson back over here for a minute to see what he has taken away from today's program, and then we're going to get set for a Toys for Tots update. Steve, first, how's your mental health now?
Much better. Thanks. Appreciate it.
And I can't remember from years past if you gave up the resolutions business or...
I'm a bit of a procrastinator, Dennis, so it takes me a while to even make them, and then it takes me a while to get started on them, and then, although I'm procrastinating in terms of creating them, I certainly abandon them pretty quickly. But I've got some tools now to stay positive, celebrate my little successes, so maybe 2018 will be different.
Well, I'm always hopeful for myself. Sometimes I make a little progress. Sometimes it depends on kind of what life throws at you. But thank you for the opportunity to do this show on New Year's weekend this year. Now we're going to take a break and hear from Terry Johnson, one of the coordinators of this year's Toys for Tots. How did the Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots turn out in Chautauqua County this year, Terry Johnson?
It turned out very, very well. As we spoke a couple of weeks ago, we were anticipating that our numbers were going to be higher this year, and indeed they were. We had a record year of number of children that we supported, and the community stepped up, as they always do, and we had enough toys to serve over 2,500 children this year.
So give me the record compared to other years. How would you put this?
So this year we served 2,551 children, which was just over 1,000 families, 1,040 families. And previous to that, the most we'd ever been was 2,406 children. So we're about 150 over our peak that we've ever had in the last 17 years.
And was it difficult to make that at the end there? What was it like as you saw the finish line coming?
Well, we always panic because we start with the big room full of toys that you saw a couple of weeks ago. And as we start filling bags, that pile just shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. And Heather and I did go shopping after our first day of bagging just for a couple specific age groups. Again, it was the babies and it was the teenagers that we went shopping for. So there we were on a Saturday afternoon in the blizzard shopping, and the people in the retail stores were busy, and there was a lot of customers trying to do their last-minute holiday shopping, and Heather and I were there with 6 and 7 carts full of things, and we were able to get enough stuff, and we're very fortunate that we had a good year with a lot of good donations to make every toy stretch and serve that many children.
Heather, you mentioned, is Heather Brown, who's been a coordinator with you for as long as you have done this. She's also from the Resource Center in Chautauqua County. You had a new coordinator this year, Patrick Smeralda. What was it like to bring a third person into the organization of this?
It was great. It was really helpful to have another set of hands to do some of the picking up and dropping off and going through all of the different things that we get asked to do this time of the year. So it's nice to be able to spread that out amongst 3 people instead of 2. So he was a great welcome addition to the team and willing to do whatever we needed.
Terry Johnson, any other thank yous or things that should be said to put the capstone on the Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots in Chautauqua County, coordinated by the Resource Center this year?
I really want to thank all of the volunteers that came out and helped, all of the volunteers that adopted the over 80 box sites that we had. And we had a group of volunteers that Saturday before Christmas that drove the toys 250 bags to Dunkirk, got stuck in the snow, and braved some big weather conditions to help do that. We have somebody that helps do our distribution in the north end of the county, and we just would not be able to do it without all of the volunteers. So we really, really want to take some time to thank them for putting their time into it for us.
Thank you, all 3 coordinators, for your work, and thank you for today's update.
Thank you, Dennis.
Steve, we are back here at 880 East 2nd after that Toys for Tots report. Another great, tremendous effort, and thank the Resource Center community for all the work that is done on behalf of Toys for Tots every year.
Oh, absolutely. We enjoy doing it. I think this is our 18th year in a row, and we've set a record in terms of the number of children that we were able to support this year through Toys for Tots. So we just organize it. We couldn't make it a success without the generosity and contributions of the community, individuals and businesses. So many people get behind this effort, and it's really very heartwarming.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to do this radio program again through the year of 2017. Look forward to some more exciting shows and fun things in 2018. In the meantime, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Dennis, and all our listeners.
And Happy New Year to our guests here on the air today. And that's it for 2017. Thank you for sharing the vision this year.